We're looking at the top 10 rookies in PPR scoring from week 13 to fill our confirmation biases. Look at these rookies for next year. Trades are more than likely closed in your league, but if you're in a Dynasty league, you still might be able to get some deals done because in a lot of Dynasty leagues, trades are open. But still, we need to look at these rookies to see what they are up to. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button. Tap it with the finger on your phone. Click it with the mouse on your computer because we're covering the waiver wire every day. We're covering the advanced metrics on these players every day so you can do your research and figure out who you want, who you don't want, who you want to trade away, who you want to pick up, whatever you want to do. We also help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. And we're going to start things off with our top rookie from week 13, Sam LaPorta. He was also the top tight end with 29 PPR fantasy points, 9 targets at 36% target share. It is rare that you get a second-round rookie tight end that just goes off like this. It's rare that you get a rookie tight end in general that goes off like this. Probably the tight end one in Dynasty right now. He's going to be one of the top tight ends drafted in next year's drafts. He is on the move, and he has been explosive, too, in fantasy scoring. Week 12, 17 fantasy points. Week 13, 29. He had some down games, but that's the tight end position. Even when you're a top-tier tight end, you're still going to be kind of volatile. But still, 29 PPR fantasy points has been pretty consistent this year at 36% target share. Sam LaPorta is on the rise. One of our favorite tight ends from this year's class, especially in rookie drafts, because you could get him with a second-round rookie draft pick, which is a lot cheaper than Dalton Kincaid was in rookie drafts, considering he was a back-end first-round draft pick. But Sam LaPorta is a player on the move here in fantasy. If you got him, you're enjoying him. DeVon Achan's back, and that's all we can really say. We've been waiting for him to come back and do this, and we knew it was going to happen. RB3 last week with 25.3 fantasy points, had 20 touches, 53.8% opportunity share, 4 targets in the passing game. This is what he does. He's explosive. He's fast. The Dolphins use him all over the place. They use him on the outside. They use him on the goal line. He's a weapon. Look for him to be fantasy relevant for a long time with the Dolphins, at least through his rookie contract. He's going to be a valuable asset to this team for quite a while, a valuable asset for fantasy football for quite a while. His stock is through the roof in Dynasty. It's through the roof in redraft. He's going to be expensive next year. Puka Nacua is still scoring fantasy points. He was the wide receiver 11 in week 13 with 23.9 PPR fantasy points. He is dealing with an injury right now. He was a limited participant in practice today, but he was looking good. Looks like he's going to be out there this week. 7 targets, a 20.6% target share, 105 air yards. That's the workload you want out of a wide receiver. Ran 19 routes, 51.4% route participation rate, 23 fantasy points, 18 in week 11, 6 in week 12. A little bit up and down. We have some volatility over here in the back 9 of the season, but still, we started the season out hot. We've been consistent. We're scoring lots of fantasy points. Late round draft pick. This guy has exceeded expectations. He is going to be highly drafted next year in drafts, and you're going to have to pay up to get him. Parker Washington was a surprise in week 13. 18.1 PPR fantasy points. The wide receiver 15. Christian Kirk's out. He's going to be out for the rest of the fantasy season. Could be back if the Jaguars make it to the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. But in this contest, Washington saw 6 targets, caught all 6 of them, saw 15.4% target share, ran 34 routes with a 73.9% route participation rate. That route participation rate would have been a little bit higher if Kirk was out the whole game. So look at that because that would be a little bit higher of opportunity. 50 air yards, so he's not getting targeted deep, but still, he plays most of his snaps in the slot like he did in college. He's got good hands, very strong at the catch point. He's very reliable. I think he can be productive in this offense. Just temper your expectations a little bit and expect some volatility here. And there's going to be a filling out process, but keep an eye on Parker Washington. Zach Charbonnet saw 20 touches, 16.9 PPR fantasy points, RB13 for the week, had an 87.5% opportunity share. Left the game with an injury. We're paying attention to that. Seems like he's having some swelling with the knee from what I read on the reports. That might hurt him a little bit for his availability. Pay attention to that going forward. But he has been consistent over the last 4 weeks. Week 10 against Washington, 10.2 fantasy points. That got you by. Week 11 against the Rams, 12.9. That got you by. Down game against the Niners. We were expecting that with 9 fantasy points. And then against the Cowboys, 16.9. We're watching the news on him, seeing if he's healthy, seeing if he's good to go. But Kenneth Walker's also there. This team is just good at the running back position. They're just solid. You got 2 good running backs. You're solid at wide receiver. They are just loaded. CJ Stroud's loaded as well. QB 13 off the spreadsheet, but really depending on the scoring at the quarterback position, it could be a little bit different. Sleeper has him at 18.06. The spreadsheet got him at 16.1. Really depends on where he's at. Back in QB1, high in QB2. Doesn't really matter. He's still a solid quarterback. In this matchup, you saw 63.6% of his pass attempts were under a clean pocket. 73.1% of his passes were catchable. He's slinging the rock downfield, though. 10.6 ADOT. That's what we like about CJ Stroud. He throws deep bombs, and it's accurate downfield. That's why we were liking Nico Collins in the offseason before the draft, because we know he could hit on the air yards, and we did not expect him to go to this extent, but we're here. We're here. 286 air yards in this matchup. A little bit low for Stroud, but still, he wasn't operating out of a clean pocket as usual. Usually, that's pushing around 80 to 85%, but still, 63%. Still got it done here. Still got you some production. Rashee Rice is starting to hit a little bit. We're looking at some fantasy points coming out of him, with him being the wide receiver 22 in week 13 with 14.4 PPR fantasy points, 24.7 in week 12 against the Raiders. He's starting to get more opportunities as he's seen 19 targets in his last 2 games, 9 targets in week 13 with a 30% target share. The routes are starting to come up a little bit. He's almost at a 70% route participation rate, but the air yards are dank. The air yards are dank. 9 air yards in this game on 9 targets. He's averaging 1 ADOT. 1 yard per target. What is that? What is that? Sling it to him deep. He can do that. We saw that at SMU. He can really body up defenders. That's really where he excels at, really. You throw it deep to him downfield, one-on-one contested catch situations. That's where he's at his best, and that's where he could be more optimal, too. Considering if he had some deeper targets in this matchup, he would have a lot more than 14.4 fantasy points. He would be pushing 20 or so, even with an 8 out of 5, 8 out of 6. An 8 out of 1 is just crazy. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Straight up, look at his ADOT. Crazy, too, getting short targets, but saw almost a 30% target share. Wide receiver 25 on the week, 13.2 PPR. Soon these wide receivers are going to have to start seeing deeper targets, but still, the volume's there. The production's there. We're starting to see a little bit more upside out of him. We're starting to see more promise on the back 9 of the season. It's been up and down, but really, we should have known this going in. We have DK Metcalf. We have Lockett. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. We have a good running game here with 2 good running backs who are in and out of lineup due to health concerns. But still, Jaxon Smith-Njigba is flashing, is doing some things. If he's not in the box score, he's got a highlight, and he's been like that off and on. Week 10, 9 fantasy points. Week 11, 7. Week 12, 6. I'm going to call that out because he does hit on the low in a lot of matchups, but still, he's also flashing a little bit of upside there. Jonathan Mingo. We talk about him a lot. 38.5% target share. 10 targets. He's on the upswing in targets over these last 4 weeks. 7 targets in week 10. 6 in week 11. 6 in week 12. 10 in week 13. 12.9 PPR fantasy points. Wide receiver 26. The quarterback issue is a problem. The offense is a problem. The Panthers are a problem. Jonathan Mingo's on the upswing right now, especially in workload. He's starting to get it done. He's getting targets downfield. 95 air yards in this contest. 9.5 average depth of target. He's an air yards guy. He had an 8 out of over 10 in college. He's a guy that you want to pay attention to in next year's drafts. Maybe you want to pick him up off waivers, but you're really not going to trust him in this offense. But if you're hurting, you're hurting. And if everybody else is picked up, then you might have to lean that way. Taj Spears, we got a taste of what could happen if something happened to Derrick Henry. Because something happened to Derrick Henry, he's just somehow not in concussion protocol. He might end up back there. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. But everybody wanted him. He was the hot waiver wire option for 5 minutes. Everybody was talking him up as a must-get play off the waiver wire. And then Derrick Henry said, nah, I just don't feel like going in concussion protocol. I think my brain's okay. PPR, 12.8 PPR fantasy points. RB16, 20 touches. They're not afraid to give him the rock. They're not afraid to give him the ball out there. They're not afraid to give him workload. 47.8 opportunity share, 6 targets. He's using the passing game. He's explosive. One of the better pass-catching running backs in the league. One of the better route-running running backs in the league. We saw that at the Senior Bowl. Guess what? I got the clips here. Just look it up. I have it. You'll see how good he is in the passing game from that Senior Bowl clip. You'll see him break off some routes, break some ankles, because that's what Taj Spears does. And he's a guy you need to be looking at next year later in drafts because he does have some upside. Those are 10 rookies that we're looking at from week 13. We do this every week, so be on the lookout next week for another rookie report as we analyze the rookies. Let me know what you think about some of these rookies down below in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.